Hey, I'm Mike with ExpandingSound.com. I'm here today to share my process of creating playable, keyboard bed instruments in Ableton Live out of an old analog drum machine that I have. So this is how I did it. So these are the sounds of some of the instruments I made in Ableton using the Techstar here. As you can see, the pads are really big. They're like 20 inches big. It's a really cool unit. It's kind of beat up, but I like what it sounds like. So let's fiddle around. So the thing about old analog drum machines is, in fact, that they are synthesizers. It's not using a sample or anything like a newer drum machine would. Um, every note that it's generating is, in fact, being generated inside itself. There's no samples. So it's basically a synthesizer, a very simple one with a lot of different voices that you can control. And here I'm going in for a setting that they actually call synth right on the body of this unit. So it's, lasery kind of sounds and zaps and stuff like that, but you can get some solid notes out of it if you play around with it. This is just some of the tedious, busy work that goes into making a sample pack or a sample instrument. Now I have to just cut up the samples and, put them in place. So I don't want to leave them just right like this. I'd rather just eyeball it and cut them down now and label them individually. I know that I can do this using, markers for the transients, but I never really like that way of doing it. I still have to go in and eyeball it anyway when I do that. Like it's never right on the money, so I don't mind just going in and doing the work of just getting right up to it. So as you can see in the bottom of the screen, I'm using a tuner on each sample. It's a little bit more difficult with something like this since it's a drum machine. You know, I'm not dialing in exact notes for everything, so you can see how the tuner's not lining up right in the middle. But I still want to do this anyway, just so I can have an idea as to what note it's supposed to be, or at least how close it is. And I know I can go in and just change it right inside of the sampler, or I can even just change it in the audio clip right here. But I'm just going to go in and name it right now, and give it, you know, close to what the note is. Just call it a B, even though it's a little bit off. Again, just busy work. So let's speed it up a little bit. Now I'm going to go into another project and showcase one of the instruments I made using samples of this drum machine, and show you how I put them in an instrument rack. So I think that sounds pretty cool. That was one that I made using the synth voice on the Techstar unit. Now I'm going to go in and take the files that I was just working on in this video that I made using the Tom voice, and try and plug them in the instrument rack here in the sampler, and map them across the key bed to each corresponding note. So as you can see there, I was using the tuner as well as the tuning in the sample to get it right up to key. So each time now I would hit a C on the key bed, the note that would play would be a C. And I'll just do the same with some of these other samples as well. So I'm going to cut ahead right now to where it's all finished and mapped across the bed, and you can hear what it sounds like a little bit. I put an arpeggiator on it to give it a nice cool effect. Alright, now I want to bring in the other voice that I was playing with before from the synth voice of the Techstar. Have a little fun with both. So obviously this is just laying down some of the groundwork for this pack that's going to be coming out, but I think it sounded pretty neat so far, and I like what I'm able to do with the Techstar. There's a lot of different tone and a lot of variation you can get out of an old analog drum machine, as long as you just put a little time into it and play with it.